All right, the Reds, it's Talking Reds, Monday mornings Talking Reds, match day Talking Reds. It is Liverpool v West Ham at Anfield tonight, and I for one am excited to see the mighty Reds once again. This Talking Reds is brought to you in association with Luke 1977. They make nice tops like this, boss for going to match, boss for going to the pub, just generally boss. Check out the stuff, luke1977.com, use TOR15 to get 15% off full price gear. Go to our group on Facebook, Tour Player Subscribers, and you get 20% off if you can find my post in there. That is the Luke plug. I do genuinely like the stuff. We've done it.
I like how you just name the activities that you like doing there, by the way. Like, good for going to the pub, good for going to the match. I mean, don't know anything else.
Yeah, what else goes on in life? When else you need to wear clothes? Everything else you can just do it bollock out. But yeah, it is the match tonight, Josh. I'm going to ignore your agenda and do it the other way around. Because let's start with the match. Klopp said it's a night match and we're going to need a really, really good atmosphere. Beyond that as well, though, I really like the fact that there are a couple of there's a couple more records that we could do. I want every record going, and the teams that we are setting, a lot of them breaking, a lot of them. Liverpool have won their last 17 Premier League games, and that's one shy of the all-time English top-flight record, which was set by Manchester City between August and December 2017. They won 18 in a row, so we can match that. We've also won our last 20 home Premier League games. A win in this game would equal the English top-flight record for consecutive home wins, which was set by the Reds themselves between January and December 1972, when Bill Shankly's side won 21 in a row. I mean, those kind of records just sort of emphasise it, don't they, Josh? Just how good this side is. And I'm not buying into all this league being weak thing. I watched some of the games over the weekend and I thought they were really good. For instance, like, if you're telling me Wolves are a weak Premier League side, I'm not listening to you. They're good. They're good to watch. They're a good side. They've got loads of good players. And even some of the players that are playing in some of the sides near the bottom, West Ham excluded, they're a bit shit. But, you know, you watch some of them, they play good football, they've got good players. And, I mean, what do you think in the time you've been watching football? Do you think it is a weak league, or do you think we're watching a boss Liverpool side?
I think it can sort of be a combination of the two, to be fair. I think when people say it's a weak league, it's probably because there's an extent to which this sort of traditional top six or top four that we've seen for sort of so many years in the Premier League has sort of disbanded to a degree, and I think that skews people's perceptions, because you see teams like Sheffield United and Wolves, some of the teams you've named there, who've got these strong players now, and I think it's just that the gap between the top and the bottom is closer than it's ever been, and I think that has skewed people into thinking it's a weak league, and obviously the way Liverpool play and the way Liverpool breaking records makes people think that as well. But it's interesting you mention all those records, because we get asked so many times by the YouTube comments on these by people in AFQ footballs and stuff like that, whether you'd rather win like the treble or whether you'd rather go unbeaten and stuff like that. And I sort of think the whole going unbeaten and setting all these records is nice for the players almost than it is for us. For us, it's bragging rights, and that's sort of what you cling to as a supporter. I know you particularly cling to it, any chance to needle any other set of supporters, but it's good for the players, because you think of this group of players who we've got now, and they've all been on journeys to get to where they are, and I imagine for them, you know, being able to make themselves a part of this history, especially of a great club like Liverpool as well, where there's so much history, to be able to say that you've been better than the likes of, you know, the Souness's, the Dalglish's, all those people that you hear about growing up, to say that you were in a team that was better than them is just like unreal for those players, I think.
Absolutely. And in talking of unreal players, Sadio Mane is expected to start tonight, being absolutely brilliant for the Reds this season, one of the best, I would say. And in terms of the team, there's not too much to talk about around there. I mean, a lot of it sort of picks itself right now. The big one, I think, is obviously Henderson being out and who comes into midfield. A lot of heat over the weekend for that man being Keita. Kind of forgets Chamberlain for me a little bit, because it could be him as well. But if it is Keita, there was a piece by David Lynch and he got a bit of stick for basically one line in it. His argument was, like, you know, he's shown so much promise when he has been on the pitch, but he hasn't been on the pitch enough. And he was saying it was a bit make or break, which is a bit of a journalist thing to do. I'm sure Dave won't mind me saying that, because it probably isn't make or break. But equally, you can take his point, can't you? It's a big opportunity for Naby. I mean, if he does get the start, and we know the manager likes him, he's at something a little bit different, isn't he? And one of the ways we maybe struggled against Atletico was creativity from midfield, and he offers you that.
Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, me and you do the team talk, and quite often we have to sort of pick teams from that, and we imagine that Klopp might, you know, in these kind of games against lowly sides at Anfield, you might want to go a bit more attacking, then he might go for a Chamberlain. But I think Naby Keita's sort of the perfect option for these games, to be honest, because if West Ham do sort of sit back and try and catch you on the break, I think Keita's got a bit more going backwards than Chamberlain does, and I think that sort of suits him a bit better, being in that midfield role. And I think Keita's been great as well when he has played. I sort of take David Lynch's point there that, look, he's just not had a chance to show it enough, but when he has, you know, he scores goals, he gets assists, he's part of that general link-up play. I think he links up really well with Salah in particular, to be honest, which is good to see, because I think there's been times where you maybe want a bit more from Salah, or maybe people have been asking for a bit more from him, but look, Salah's still getting goals, he's still putting in great performances, so I think getting anyone on the pitch who can sort of help that and, you know, help get Salah a bit close to the goal, because I think that's probably been someone who's been a bit of a victim of at times. There's this perception that he's selfish, and I think maybe he's done his own head in a little bit about it and is trying to sort of bring his teammates into it more now. So I think I'd go for Keita personally over Chamberlain. I think Chamberlain has played well, but he's one of them sort of players who doesn't track back as well. He doesn't sort of cover his defensive man as well as Naby Keita does. So Keita would be my option, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's the price tag as well, isn't it? It's 52 million quid, and people want a bit more of a return from 52 million quid, which is fair enough. But there's a reason Liverpool paid that money in the first place, and that is that he is absolutely top quality. And if he could sort of come on a bit of a run now, stay fit, contribute, score goals, set up goals, it'd be that perfect little boost to just keep us going. And another sort of milestone, and you mentioned Needle before, we can reach 79 points tonight, can't we? I think I'm pretty much saying. I think I'm right in saying. And 79 points is the same amount of points that Man United got when they won the league, when they won the treble. And we're getting it in February. So again, we're just better than everyone else.
I really enjoyed the tweet from I think it was Phil Blundell, like last week. I think it was after we beat Southampton actually, and he said that we need 1 win and 11 draws to match Arsenal's Invincibles record. It's mad,
that, isn't it? It is mad, that. I mean, like, you know, we've mentioned it before, Sam's got his little postcard in our office because he's the only Arsenal fan in the village, and you know, you look at it and they drew 12, and like, all right, yeah, brilliant to go the season unbeaten and all that, but they drew 12. Look what the Reds are doing. Well better. Okay, well, as usual, there will be a clip that follows this now, which is a clip from our premium content, and this is from a series that we did called Mind Games, where we spoke to a sports psychologist about how psychology helps football and footballers. Bradley Bush, nice fella. We talked about lots of things, including the psychology of a title race and things like that. Some of it's out there free, because you may know that we have had some issues with our website recently, and we put a load of content out for free, both on our YouTube channel, on Spotify, and on the free feed generally. So it's a good time to sort of go and have a look and a listen to that stuff. We are hopeful that the website is back up today and up and running and available once again. We do apologise for any problems it's caused, but it is a clip. I can't speak today, it's Monday. Here is a clip from, what's it called?
Mind Games.
That's it. To get 97 points, the third highest total in the top league of England, and not win the league. Yeah. And you know, add on to that how much Liverpool want to win it. You know, 29 years without one and all the rest of it. Isn't that testimony to how brilliant he is that they're still at that level?
Oh, amazingly so, yeah.
They could have, and Liverpool teams have in the past, title challenge, fall off a cliff. Yeah.
And that's why setting an arbitrary target of, if you'd said at the start of the season, let's aim for 97 points, it's a nonsense target, because that's not your target. Your target is to win the league. So having that focus on getting better. So I would imagine you can probably list quite easily which Liverpool players have got better under Klopp's management. Yeah. And that's the key, is if you can help every player get better, the numbers and the points will take care of themselves. Because if 97 points is the base level, then if your focus is on developing each player and developing the team, you'll probably get more if the team has raised their level. So that's definitely, I think, probably what he's doing.
This is a really interesting point, I think, because we've been talking about your work, and this is what you do one-on-one with players. Yeah. Do you find it's easier to work with a player one-on-one if he's part of a collective that has something that he's bought into fully? Massively,
because you know it does help your motivation when you know you're playing for something bigger than just yourself. Yeah. And I think, so we kind of use the phrase, You know, you master your instrument before you join the orchestra. Like, if you get good at your job and you know that your teammates are also sacrificing to get better at their job, then when you're in that changing room before the match, you look around and you go, like, I'm glad he's on my team because I know how hard he's been working this month. That makes me raise my game. Whereas when it's just words and like motivational fluff, like it doesn't mean anything. Whereas the actions of knowing how hard everyone's working for the common cause means you're more likely to self-sacrifice as well. And you were talking in the last episode about some of the midfielders maybe not getting all the glory and all the credit in the Liverpool setup, but I think they're probably happy to do that because everyone's bought in to that team structure, and that comes from the top. That comes from Klopp and his coaches.
Yeah, so that is Mind Games there. Get on that, have a watch of that. Listen to the premium stuff, as I say, as well. With the website being back up as well, that should mean that the app is back up and running as well. So if you haven't already downloaded that, download that, get some free tokens, have a go of the premium content, and if it's for you, subscribe and that. All the usual stuff will be back tonight, the post-match pint, the stuff on the website, etc, etc, etc. But as well as the match, there's loads and loads of transfer talk, which is a bit mad when it's February, but it is what it is. And obviously over the weekend, Timo Werner once again talking about the Reds, and like, you know, he couldn't flutter his eyelashes more if he tried. Right now it's brilliant. I mean, like, he scores a cracking goal, and like I sent that goal to all my mates anyway, because like I'm a tit and I say certain catchphrases over and over again until everyone gets bored of them. And one of the things I always say to my mates at the match, I don't know even know where it come from, but if someone's dribbling towards goal, I always go, outside bang. And that's exactly what Timo Werner did at the weekend. He went outside and banged it in the top in, and I was like, yes. Sent it to all my mates, outside bang, and they're like, fuck's sake, Robert. But then I was like, he looks good though, doesn't he? You know, he's pacey, he can finish, all the rest of it. And then he just literally keeps going on about the Reds. The latest thing is there are many things that would suggest my style of play might be a good fit with Liverpool, and he calls Klopp the best coach in the world. And then simultaneously, I don't know if I'm joining dots here, but you know, Melissa does a piece in The Independent talking about the type of players that Klopp would sign and what they may be looking for in the summer. She was saying they don't expect to lose any of the major talent from the books, and therefore the only people they're looking to bring in are maybe sort of between 30 and 50 million pounds, and players that can come in and sort of be of a certain level already, but capable of improving to another level. I mean, it was interesting that Klopp said something like, you know, the age in terms of performance right now is good, but the age in terms of selling maybe isn't, and so that's your little hint that the side is starting to age a little bit. It's fine, we're going to win the league, we're going to win the European Cup, we're going to win the FA Cup, we're going to retain the league next year, we're going to win the World Club Cup again. Don't worry about all of that, but we do need to sign some one or two players, I would say. I mean, we've got down here that Shaq's out tonight. You wouldn't be surprised to see him go, for instance, and then you're a man down and you want a man in, and maybe that is the Timo fella. The quotes from the Melissa piece are, we need players who want to be a part of this, who want to fight for their spot, who want to make the next step together with us, who want to develop and improve, so that's it. He also said though, and this is something we've talked about all the time on Anfield Rap stuff, he also said it's great that people are saying we're the best team in the world, and it's great that other players are talking about that, and maybe it makes it easier to start a conversation with the player. But then he said, but maybe it makes it hard to actually get them to come, because they're like, how am I getting in the team?
Where do I get my game? Yeah. That's what's interesting about what Timo Werner said so far. Look, it feels like, you know, you mentioned the transfer talk starting early. It feels like he's the one sort of solely driving at this point, him and Jan Agerfortoft anyway. But yeah, he's sort of at an interesting point where the way he's talking about Liverpool. I think it was after the Tottenham game, wasn't it, where he comes out and says how good a team Liverpool are, calls us the best team in the world. But he sort of acknowledged himself that he's got work to do, and I think he acknowledges that he won't just walk right into this Liverpool front three, and that's why I think, you know, there's a lot of people who want us to sort of go out and sign Sancho's and Mbappe's, but those lads are going to cost hundreds of millions of pounds, and I think, you know, from what we've seen over the weekend, it looks like none of Salah, Mane or Firmino will leave, which is obviously a good thing, but it means you're going to want to sign back up to them, and we've got Minamino now. We've got Origi there, who you don't imagine would leave in the summer unless he sort of ends up kicking up a fuss over his lack of game time. Looks like Shaqiri will go, as you say. So it's crying out for somebody who's probably between the price tag of Minamino and Sancho and Mbappe, which basically is Timo Werner. His release clause is apparently £50 million. So it does feel like all the sort of cards falling into place with that one. It feels like he wants to move. It feels like he's the sort of player that Klopp would go after. So it's one to get excited about, really. It's one to look forward to for the summer, because I think you look back at last summer and it was probably one of people's gripes over the course of it, wasn't there? There wasn't much to complain about, but the fact that we didn't sign anybody apart from Vandenberg was probably the one thing that you would complain about. So it'd be quite nice to sort of go into next summer having nothing to complain about, a league title to boot, and I've seen that signing with Timo Werner as well.
Yeah, there was only Sepp Vandenberg and Harvey Elliott, wasn't there, and the goalie, Adrian. And yeah, it's funny because we're starting to put content together, you know, for readying for the end of the season and when we win the league and stuff like that. So we're having to like go back and review where we've been. And I went back all the way to like the summer, if you like. And it was funny sort of seeing pieces and, you know, stuff on social media where people were complaining and saying, oh my God, you've got a position, we're in a position of strength. Why haven't we strengthened? Why haven't we bought players? Klopp this, FSG that. And now here we are sitting in this position going, 19 points clear, chance to go 22 tonight. It's fucking alright, isn't it?
People wanted to sign a load of defenders, didn't they? Everyone was saying that, look, the backup to Joe Gomez isn't good enough and stuff like that. I think people are probably even almost doubting Gomez's role going into the season because of the injuries he's had. He's now come on and is playing even better than I think his best form last season. We've seen Nico Williams coming through. The left back is obviously still a position which you maybe want to strengthen on in the summer, but I think we're in as good a spot as we've ever been, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good time to be a Red. If you go in the match tonight, enjoy it. If you're not, enjoy it. It's on the box. Do watch our stuff, listen to our stuff, read our stuff. It will all be out there as ever. Stuff on the social media as well, so Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the Anfield app, on all of those places. Check out the Luke stuff, as I said at the start as well. And yeah, that's been Talking Reds. That was good, wasn't it? Up the fucking Reds.